If your goal is to become a data engineer or an analytics engineer in my case, one of the biggest advice I would give is to take a look at existing products as inspiration that already mirrors what you want to build. The idea here is to look at what is already existing in the real market that is giving real value to users and try to replicate building that product. It saves you the whole stress of thinking of what to build that you can learn from and is also impactful in a real world scenario. And that's where most people get stuck when trying to learn data engineering or analytics engineering. And in this video, I'll show you some example of where you can learn from and replicate exactly what they built so that you don't only learn in the process but build something useful. I would also be walking you through a project of mine that I'm currently building that mirrors this advice perfectly. So, if you're new to the channel, my name is Ben, and my goal is not just to become an analytics engineer, but a world-class analytics engineer. If you would also like to learn more about analytics engineer and become one yourself, subscribe to the channel because I'll be creating more videos particularly for analytics engineers. So the first product I'll be showing is Lifetimely. Now, this product markets itself as a product for e-commerce owners to have insights into their P&L, their customer acquisition costs, lifetime value, and customer behavior inside a single unified platform, right? So it gets their data from Shopify and Amazon. And the use case here is people who have multiple Shopify stores and multiple Amazon stores and really don't understand what is going on inside those stores. So they can connect these products to their stores and see a bunch of insights, relevant insights, and useful insights for their marketing, for their finance, for customer acquisition. And I particularly like this product. This is a live product. It all has live users, right? And it's something that you can be replicated as a learner. I particularly like this product because it's something I'm into, and it's the project that I'm currently working on. I have a Shopify store where I have data that is being ingested from into a data warehouse, which is BigQuery. So in this case, if you would want to build something similar to this, you would definitely be using tools like dbt for the engine, a data warehouse like BigQuery or Snowflake, and it is completely buildable by you as a learner, right? So you would use dbt for the transformation of data. Then you would use, say, BigQuery for storing all your data and your metrics and creating your metrics. You would use a tool like Airbytes or Python to ingest data from Shopify and Amazon. Now, you would pick an easier path to start with. So I personally started with Shopify because Shopify is way more easier to work with. And it's a real problem that people are trying to solve, right? It's trying to build a central platform for their analytics, right? You would ingest the data from Shopify using Python or Airbytes, and then you will pull all this data from Shopify into BigQuery. Now, within BigQuery, you would now be using dbt to transform your data and create models. If you're using dbt core, which is the open source version of dbt, and then you can now ingest all those data into BigQuery, transform it within BigQuery, and create all the relevant models inside BigQuery. So when transforming data, they usually transform it into the staging, intermediate, and maths layer. You can do all that is relevant to what we are trying to achieve. And then in your maths layer, which is your analytical layer, is where you start to define the P&L metrics, the customer acquisition cost metrics, the lifetime value metrics, customer behavior metrics, and other relevant metrics, depending on how deep or how broad you want your projects to be. After the whole transformation, you can now visualize your metrics on a BI tool. You could use BI tools like Metabase, Power BI, and Looker Studio to then create your dashboards and BI solution. Now, if you even want to take this a bit further, you could use React to create web dashboards, but do that only if you're comfortable with React. So here's the next example, which is a perfect example that was built with React. If you would like to master analytics engineering and the tools under it, like DBT, BigQuery, I hold a 2 months bootcamp where I teach others like myself analytical engineering skills such as building pipelines, data modeling, designing a data warehouse, and other important skills. So if you're interested in joining, just check in the link below to join and the modern data stack under the hood. Now, this is an open source tool, is a project that was built by an actual data engineer. And the purpose of this project is an aggregated view of costs across various cloud tools. So if you look down, what it does is it aggregates the costs from your various data tools, right? So from your DBT, from your BigQuery, and then it shows you inside a single unified platform, which is this costing, right? So let's check it out. So we have a demo here. We have a demo to look at. If you click on it, this is exactly what you see. This is built using React. Under the hood, you would have tools like DBT and a data warehouse, and probably an orchestration framework like Darkstar or Airflow. Now, if you go, you would see different platforms here that you can check the costs all inside a single platform. So you would have your projects connect to the various APIs of these platforms and pull in the various data that you will need from these platforms and get everything visualized here. So this isn't a BI tool, this is pure React, right? So if we scroll down, you would see different charts and different visualizations that give us what you want. So we could check here, we would see Snowflake and then click on dashboard. So you're viewing a live demo with sample data and you can see a very good example of what you can possibly build with DBT and BigQuery alone. The same thing that applies to AWS and the others. So very similar stuff is what you can build as an analytics engineer. You don't even need to be a data engineer for this. An analytics engineer, you would have all the skills equipped to build such a thing. So let's go into the project I'm currently building that will show you exactly how you can go ahead to build such. So if you look, you would see my project I'm currently working on. Now, the purpose of this project is exactly, I'm trying to replicate the Lifetimely products, right? So the purpose here is to collect data from a Shopify store. And this is not, I'm not using sample data, I'm using live data directly from Shopify, right? So you can see here, this is my ingestion pipeline. I have here my ingestion script. So this pulls data directly from my Shopify store, and I'll show you the store in a moment. It pulls data directly from my Shopify store and then stores it into a BigQuery data set or database, right? And this is the first step to this project. You want to ingest data from a source. So I have two sources going into BigQuery. I have Shopify and I have Google Analytics. Shopify is to get you the finance performance data that we need, and GA for Google Analytics is to get us the customer behavior inside our site. So right here, this is my real Shopify platform, right? My Shopify store, and this is the admin dashboard, and we can see I have various others within my store. So this is the store itself. This is it live here. You can actually visit it and make a purchase. Now the purchases are all just sample purchase, so not real purchases, right? So we can click on a product, add to carts, and then buy this product, and you would see it's updated. So by now, we're just going to put in some sample information. and that would allow us, make a purchase within our Shopify store. So if we go back to our store, we would have our latest order inside our dashboard. Now, after this, the next source that I have is my Google Analytics. So here we can see the latest order that I just made. So the next in line is my GA4 Analytics. So this is the GA4 platform, and this is what I use in tracking events and purchases that were made in my Shopify app. So far we have some events here. All these were manually carried out by me. So if you're setting up something like this, you need to know that okay, you would have to set up a Shopify. This you have to set up a Shopify store, and you have to set up your Google Analytics, and then connect GA4 to your Shopify store. So if we go to reports and then go to real time overview, we can see, so this right here is the action I just took now, right? So the purchase I just made inside my Shopify account. So you can see active users in the last 5 minutes, one user, and we can see the various events that I took, right? You can see purchasers one, and then this is the page that I visited. This is all the events that I took, and here I made a purchase of one item. Or rather, I made one purchase event within this session. So this all here is now recorded in GA4 and exported to BigQuery. So let's look at BigQuery. So in here we have the exported data both from Shopify and from GA4. So right here we have exported data from GA4. The data from GA4 comes daily, is exported on a daily basis, and I also have a streaming data here. Now this streaming data is the action we just took, so it takes about say 5 or 30 minutes to show up in your BigQuery database. But by the end of the day, this your streaming data would be dropped and everything will be rounded up into a daily event data. So here we now also have our exported data from Shopify. So here we can see I exported the three important components that we would need for this project, which is Shopify customers, orders, and products. So orders is where keeps or tracks all the orders that were made, right? And then customers, every customer that have made purchase in my store or I have record of, and this is the record of the product in my store. So what happens after you have all this data stored in your data warehouse? What you want to do next is you want to use DBT to carry out transformations on this your raw data set. And why DBT is very valuable over just regular SQL is DBT helps to write transformation scripts and package them in a modular form like you would do when you're creating an app. If you're using just vanilla SQL, you would be writing SQL scripts here and there and be figuring out how to connect all these scripts together. But with DBT, you have everything out of the box. So back in my project, we have my entire DBT project here. So what we have here is you can see we have our models, and staging is where I pick up the raw data and make initial transformation on. So if you see, I have for Google Analytics and for Shopify. So for GA4, it's been split into various components, such as the event data itself, right? And then purchases, then sessions, and items. And for Shopify, I have customers, orders, and products, right? Both orders line items belongs to orders, and product variants also belongs to products. So one of the most important concepts when modeling or transforming your data is data modeling. You need to understand how to model your data properly. And one of the most valuable things to know, or rather, one of the most crucial things to know when modeling data is granularity. So, at what grain level do you want exposed in each model? So, for example, we have in our GA4 data, All the data that happens in Google Analytics is recorded as an event. That is the most granular form of data in GA4, and that is what is being modeled here. That is what is being modeled in this particular model. Why sessions is simply the entire session that took place from when the user entered the site to completing a purchase and leaving the site. And then I also have for my Shopify models here too. And all this is just our staging layer. So we have our intermediate layer, and then we also have our math layer. And then your math layer is where you now start to build out your relevant metrics. And for this layer, I have my funnel layer, right? That shows us the paths or the direction that our user took from when they entered our store to when they left the store, and every event and action that in they took during the session. So this is a full example of how you would build out such a project. Now, so far, I haven't connected this to a BI tool or created the visualization. And so to see the full complete project, subscribe to the channel so that you will get notified when I drop future videos.